Bonjour à tous. Thank you for joining us. My name is Kendra Titley and I will be your moderator. Before we begin, please note that this press conference includes simultaneous and sign language interpretation services. It is available either in full French or in full English. If you are watching live, you can find our stream in each language on YouTube. Simply search our channels at City of Ottawa or Ville d'Ottawa. A note to media outlets joining us on Zoom, if you would like interpretation, click the interpretation globe icon in the bottom menu, then select your preferred language. You can ask your questions in the language of your choice. Today, we will be hearing remarks from Mayor Mark Sutcliffe and Renee Amilcar, General Manager, Transit Services Department. Available to answer questions from the media, we also have Councillor Glenn Gower, Chair of the Transit Commission, Richard Holder, Director, Engineering Services, Joel Lemieux, Manager, Transit Operations Control Center, Nicolas Truchon, Chief Executive Officer, Rideau Transit Group, and Enrique Martinez-Asencio, General Manager, Rideau Transit Maintenance. At this time, I would like to invite His Worship, Mayor Mark Sutcliffe, to say a few words.
Thank you, Kendra. Merci. Bonjour tout le monde. Hello, everyone.
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for being with us today. Just before Renee provides an operational update, I would like to report that I met earlier today with key representatives from Alstom Group. During the meeting, I was clear about the expectations of the City of Ottawa residents We not only want to get the trains running safely as soon as possible, but we also want to fix the root causes. Alstom is committed to delivering the consistently safe, reliable system that Ottawa residents expect, deserve, and have paid for.
Just before Renee provides an operational update, I wanted to report that I met earlier today with key representatives from Alstom Group. During that meeting, I was clear about the expectations of Ottawa residents that we not only get the trains running safely as soon as possible, but that we also fix the root causes. Alstom is committed to delivering the consistently safe, reliable system that Ottawa residents expect, that they deserve, and that they have paid for. We need to address the root causes on two fronts. The consortium is taking steps to improve the infrastructure that has been causing wear and tear on the trains, including, as you know, moving the restraining rails and also other measures. And they are proceeding with a redesign of the axles and the wheel hub assemblies for increased safety and reliability. That work has already begun. In addition, research has begun on a possible real-time online detection system that could be implemented at a future date. As you know, the redesign of the axles and the wheel hub assembly will take time to execute and implement, but significant additional measures are being taken in the meantime to ensure that the system can run safely when the trains are moving again. There will be frequent and regular testing and inspection of the trains. And Alstom will be replacing the axles every 60,000 kilometers on every train until the newly designed system is in place. To put that in perspective, normally an axle system would be used for something like 800,000 to 1 million kilometers. So we are proceeding with an abundance of caution to ensure the system is safe. Because our first priority is the safety of our passengers. These measures will ensure we're doing everything possible to address safety when the trains are running again in the days ahead. And they will also ensure that we are implementing permanent solutions that will finally give Ottawa residents the system they expect. We are continuing to follow the recommendations of the public inquiry to ensure we are not repeating the mistakes of the past, the mistakes that led us to this point. And again, we are being as transparent as possible every step of the way. Thank you. Merci.
Thank you. We'll now hear from Renee Almakar, General Manager, Transit Services.
Merci beaucoup, Kendra. Est-ce que tu peux m'entendre bien?
Thank you so much. Can you hear me?
Oui, ça va. Merci.
Wonderful. Please keep on going.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur le Maire.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor.
Today. Je ne peux pas croire que nous sommes déjà vendredi. Le temps passe.
We are
très vite.
already Friday. Time is flying by.
Nous progressons positivement aussi.
Everything is moving forward, which is excellent.
Today, I would like to provide a further update on the ongoing work to fulfill the remaining requirement of the safety note, repositioning the restraining rails. Implementing the safety note from RTG and Alstom is key to ensuring the safe operations of Line 1. As you know, the team at OC Transpo, RTG, Alstom, and also TRA were reviewing the report from Atkins Global yesterday. A few small details are being finalized. In addition, the risk assessment is almost complete. RTG began the repositioning the restraining rails yesterday. They are working at the 16 locations that require adjustment. That work continues today and will continue throughout the weekend. This work requires a high degree of precision and is expected to take up to 10 days to complete. In parallel to this work, RTG is replacing the wheel of assemblies of the light rail vehicles. RTG can replace 2 hubs every 2 days. To date, 19 trains are ready for service. Our team is proactively preparing a service plan based on the project number of vehicles that may be available in different scenarios for service resumption. we expect to be able to safely resume service on the entire line on Monday, August 14. We will continue to provide updates on the timing for the gradual restart of service. I'm confident, based on the work done by the combined teams at RTG, Alstom, and OC Transpo, that we have a solid plan to restore rail service. This combined team will be working throughout the long weekend. There is a lot of work for us to do, and we are all committed to maintaining the schedule we have put forward. I would also like to say that I know councillors have been closely following this issue and may have questions. We are working to set up an information session for councillors next week. Media will also be invited. We will provide further information in the coming days. To our customers, I ask for your continued patience. Merci à tous les usagers d'OC Transpo.
Thank you so much to our ridership. Thank you so much for the Ottawa residents for your patience. We are working to find a solution for your safety.
Our goal are restoring a safe and reliable service for you. I will now welcome questions. Merci beaucoup. Thank you very much.
Merci, Renee. I will now invite each media agency to ask their questions. You may ask one question with a follow-up. We'll start with Elise Gura at CBC Ottawa.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to ask questions. So I noticed the 19 trains that have had the wheel hub assembly replaced and the 2 hubs per 2 days. I don't want to rely on my own math, so I'm wondering what is the projected number of trains that should be ready to be used on August 14th? And based on that number, is there still the possibility that we could have double train service rather than just single train service?
Thank you for the question. I will ask Enrique, but before to move to Enrique, I want to say that we will continue to work with RTG to maximize the number of trains available. And at the beginning of next week, I should be able to tell you how we will use those trains to make sure that we can sustainably continue to offer the service. Because, you know, the new regime, which consists to change all the axles for Bogie 1 and 5 every 60,000 kilometers. So we want to make sure that when we will launch a service, we will continue to be able to continue constant service and to do the maintenance, to apply the maintenance regime. Enrique, please, can you maybe just give an update on your capacity?
Thank you for the question, and thank you, Renee. Well, the replacement of the axles is progressing according to the expected. We are taking care of the supply chain to ensure that there are enough spares to continue this in a similar rhythm of replacement. Nevertheless, it's important to be cautious because at this moment, the new requirements coming from the safety note also require extended maintenance operations. As you know, the checks that we need to do on the trains at this moment is more intense than the scenario we had previously. That means that there are some additional restrictions in the availability of the fleet, which means that probably for the back to service on the 14th, we are having a scenario of single trains at this moment. The situation will improve on time as time goes by, and probably in the following weeks, we can improve the number of trains on passenger service. But at this moment, we need to be conservative and be sure that the next scenario is going to be sustainable and we can keep the service according to the expectations of the city and the people of Ottawa.
Okay, thank you very much. My next question is slightly different, but I know that these wheel hub assemblies that are being put on right now are the current ones that I suppose have an issue, not the redesigned ones. So that redesigned wheel hub assembly has been called many times the final or permanent fix to the issue. It seems like it would be strange for engineers to be able to say like this will permanently fix any of the problems with bearings unless they know what the root cause is. So I'm just wondering if it's possible to share what the result of the analysis is for the root cause of the derailment 2 years ago. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And maybe Richard can help me, but I can start by saying first, we know now, based on our multiple tests with the instrumented boogie, that an extra forces are applied to the axle, and that brings a loose on the bearing. And the loose on the bearing is the symptom, and the extra forces, it's the root cause. To eliminate those extra forces, Altram and RTG had requested that we work on the restraining rail and we work on the top of the rail lubrication, and the new regime will be in place until the new hub assembly is designed to make sure that we take all of the caution that we should take. So by reducing the extra forces and by strengthening the bearing with the redesign, we will maximize our capacity to avoid what happened on August 2021 with the derailment and the two events that happened on July last year and this year.
Okay, sorry. So just to clarify, you're saying that the root cause is the external forces, which are caused by the maintenance issues with the track, I suppose, because that's the issue that's happening, and a design flaw with the axle hub assembly. Is that kind of what the hypothesis is right now?
I cannot just say it's only the track, but what I'm saying is that we have extra forces, and that force brings loose to the bearing. And I will ask Richard to maybe extend the explanation, please.
Yeah, thank you, Renee. Maybe just to provide a kind of more context to the issue. So we understand that there are several factors involved in the root cause of the issues that we're experiencing with the failed bearings. So at the highest level, we need to understand that there is insufficient margin between the forces which are being applied to the axle and the strength of the axle to withstand fatigue over a long period. So the understanding is it's a fatigue failure. Progressive wear is occurring to the components within the axle hub. That includes the axle shaft, it includes the bearings, it includes the hub assembly. So there are a number of components that are experiencing wear, and over a long time, that progressive wear ultimately leads to the situation where the components move out of their maintenance tolerance. So that's on the hub side. And so we know that the solution is to increase the durability and the resilience and the strength of the hub. That's going to help. And on the other side of the equation are the forces that are being applied to the hub. So we understand that the contact with the restraining rails has led to increased forces on the hub. We understand that the high coefficient of friction between the steel wheels and the steel rails at some of the tight curves is also causing forces on the axle. And so our program over the next few months is to introduce a system of top of rail lubrication, which will assist. And there are some other factors that we can alter and adjust within the rail system to try and reduce those forces. So, like, just to summarize, there's not a single element of failure. It's important to understand that it's a system. It's a system of components. The track itself is a system, and by making a number of modifications, we can get to a point where we have a sustainable system that is more straightforward to maintain and that is kind of more in line with the expectations of longevity for these kinds of systems.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll now go to Josh Pringle at CTV Ottawa.
Good afternoon, and thank you very much. My question is for the mayor. Mark, I was just wondering if you could discuss a bit more your meeting with Alstom today. Do you feel that they are taking this issue seriously and are committed to finally addressing the issues once and for all with this system?
Thanks for the question, Josh. And it was a very productive meeting. We talked in detail about exactly what Richard was just describing, the fact that this is the combination of both the pressure that's being applied, and I'm using, obviously I'm not an engineer, I'm using kind of layman's terms here, but the pressure that's being applied to the wheels and the axles, and the need to strengthen the wheels and the axles going forward. So the solutions are on both fronts. So we walked through all of that together, but there's no doubt in my mind that the people at Alstom are committed to delivering to Ottawa the safe, reliable system that we expect and that we deserve. So I asked a lot of questions, a lot of direct questions. I laid out the expectations of the people of Ottawa, and the response that I heard was that Alstom is committed to finding a permanent solution to the issues that we've been having.
And for my follow-up, did Alstom raise any issues with the track that is currently in place? And do they feel that there is a solution in the long run that this can all be straightened out? And the only thing you may see on this system from time to time is just stop trains, as opposed to issues with axles and overhead catenary systems and stuff like that.
Are you asking me that question?
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, my sense of where they're coming from is their view is, exactly as Richard laid it out, that it's a combination of factors that has led to the issues that we've experienced. It's the pressure on the wheels and the axles on that whole assembly that needs to be addressed. So on the pressure side, as Richard said, we're looking at lubricating the tracks. We're looking at slightly moving the restraining rails so they're not making contact with the wheels anymore. And there are other measures that are being taken to reduce the pressure that's being applied to the wheel system. And then this redesign, they feel that the current system is safe, but the redesign is going to lead to an even safer, a higher level of safety, a safer system. So that way, we'll have both a safer wheel and axle system, and we'll have reduced pressure being put on that system, which overall will lead to a much safer system for Ottawa residents and for passengers on OC Transpo. And then in the meantime, as I said earlier, there are all kinds of measures in place to make sure that there's testing and inspection. We're changing the axles much more frequently to make sure that the system, while we're waiting for these other measures to be completed, including the redesign, that the system is safe for passengers.
And sorry, was this meeting in person or on Zoom teleconference?
It was a virtual meeting earlier today.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. We'll now go to Joanne Loshes at the Ottawa Citizen.
Hi, I'm wondering if you can address the question of the tightness of the curves and what role that has played in all of these factors.
Richard, please.
Yeah, that's been the subject of a number of inquiries that we've received from the public as well, is this what is happening with the tight curves. And so maybe just backing up a little bit in terms of the overall design of the system, like if we had a lot of engineers designing the light rail system, we would make it straight. But we had to build a system in Ottawa. We had to connect a lot of infrastructure together. So the area where we have the tightest curves is around between Lees and Herdman and Tremblay Station. So as the system was being designed, we had to connect a number of significant pieces of infrastructure. So we had the Rideau River crossing across the Rideau River. We had the station that's at Herdman, which is a huge piece of infrastructure with an elevated guideway. We have a large pumping station just to the east of Herdman, which is a significant water main pumping station that provides the east end of the city with water, which is very difficult to move, very expensive to move, given the ground conditions and the contamination issues in that area. And then to the east of that, we have another bridge which is adjacent to Via Rail, and we actually run next to Via Rail. So we had a number of constraints in that area that meant that the design of the system had curves that are around between 115 to 140 meters. And so that's considered relatively tight. But this is well within the realms of a light rail system. So we called for a light rail system. The infrastructure that is built and the specifications for the vehicles was such that we wanted a light rail system which is common around the world. These systems are designed for urban areas, for vehicles to actually run on downtown streets, where the radius of the curves is much tighter than the curves that we have around Herdman and Lees. So we are experiencing issues right now, but it's not a case that we need to eliminate those curves, and it's not the situation that we could have avoided those curves. The system was designed to accommodate the restrictions that were in place, and we're dealing with maintenance issues right now, and the fixes that we've talked about and that we've outlined will ultimately resolve these issues.
Thank you. And one more question. There was mention previously about 6 light rail vehicles that are under investigation. Has there been any conclusions about those?
Enrique, please.
Thank you for the question. And the investigation is still in process. The next week, an expert from the manufacturer is arriving to Ottawa, and also a set of tools specifically designed to dismount these components. And the investigation process is continuing during the next week.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go to a few additional questions. If you'd like to ask another question, you may use the raised hand function, and I will go to you in a few seconds. Josh?
Thank you very much. Madame Emilcar mentioned that there are still a few remaining items in the Atkins Global Report that are being finalized. Just wondering, are any of these issues that could possibly stop the system from being ready by August 14th, or are these just part of the analyzing of the report?
Thank you for the question. Short answer is no, but we have administrative stuff that we have to verify, the signature, who can sign this report, those kind of stuff. And we have a lot of documentation review and the risk assessment. The Atkins report, it's a part of the risk assessment, and TRA is proceeding now a review of the axle replacement to make sure that all the procedures has been applied, etc. Those kind of things. It's just for that we cannot say it's complete, but it's an ongoing process.
Thank you. Next, we'll go to Elise Segura at CBC.
Hi. Yes, sorry about that. Thank you very much, Mr. Holder, for your explanation of the curves. That was really helpful. But I think people are thinking of the curves kind of together with the fact that these trains are larger than were originally specified, or the original designs that Alstom had. And this is, of course, a specific design that was new to Ottawa. Like, how are we reconciling, the sharp curves with also the very heavy loads that we're seeing by having more passengers aboard?
Richard?
Yeah, thank you for the question. So as we've said, there are a number of issues that have contributed to the root cause for the fatigue that we're seeing on the bearings. So the restraining rails within the tight curves are a contributory factor, but they are not the sole factor. We've talked about the solutions. We've talked about currently we have a containment plan in place, which is covering more frequent replacements of axles, more frequent inspections of the bearings. We have TSRs in place. We want to get to a place, we want to get to that ultimate solution where we are able to remove that containment plan, go back to our normal line speeds, go back to the normal replacement regime for axles, go back to a normal maintenance regime for the hubs. And that's what we're expecting to get to once we complete all the changes to the infrastructure and once the redesign of the axle is undertaken. So that's what we're progressing towards.
And how confident are you that this will be possible in the next, I guess it would be a few years once you get the new design in place?
That's right. That's the plan. We've heard from Alstom an indication of 12 to 18 months for the redesign process to get to a point where a prototype bogie and axle system can be built and can be tested, and then there will be the rollout of that replacement axle hub on the fleet, which will then take many months. We don't have an accurate plan for that at this point, but it is expected to take at least a year beyond that.
I would like to add that Alstom is confident as well by applying the new mitigation measure, the replacement of the steering wheel, when we will put in place the top of the rail lubrication. This current fleet will be able to deliver the service. However, Alstom is committed with RTG to proceed with the redesign, which is better than expected. But the current fleet, with all those things that we are doing now, will be better and will assure a reliable service to the resident of Ottawa.
Thank you. This concludes our immediate availability. Thank you very much. Have a great afternoon. Thanks for joining us.
Okay, thank you.